Good Earth Spin. Hello once again. I was just thinking to myself, really, if you're watching these videos, I reckon before you watch them you should do a little meditation, because that's what I do. I feel I have so much information to share, and I'm just trying to share snippets from each section to try and gather momentum and gather many different pieces of the puzzle together in one place. So this one's going to be powerful. Hello world, greetings to everybody on your path. I'm not here to convince you, I'm just sharing wisdom. Do the maths yourself, add it up, see what you think, make up your own mind. Today's kin signature. White, resonant world bridger. I channel in order to equalize, inspiring opportunity. I seal the store of death with the resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of endlessness. And we're on day 10 today, and in the traditional Mayan count, today is 13 Ahau. See that there? 13 Ahau. So in the traditional count we've completed a Zolkin, at least in one of their traditions of the Ahau kin. So a powerful day, because today is 10, which is X marks the spot. And you know, X doesn't always mark the spot of buried treasure, but sometimes it does. Re-establish fields. So it is. So it is. So it is. So it is. And 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 so it is. Bless me. So, number 10. Number 10. What does the 100-year book say? 100-year book says Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune. So, don't know if you remember from episode 1, but I had this big book. Remember the big book? Or one of them anyway. So this has innumerable bits of evidence which I've been gathering over the last, well, that's the thing, isn't it? I've been quoting pages out of my first book pretty much every episode. But some of them are newer ones, and that's the point I need to make today, is that this stage of my research all got triggered when I decided to write a third book, putting my second book on hold and do further investigations into the cosmic cycles. My website pretty much, and my research up until this point is mainly up to the 26,000 year mark, and my studying in the time cycles in regards to star cal covers 20,000 years. So they're both increments we've covered in episode 4 and 5 in the throne rooms. So, big book, Cosmic Cycles. Today is day 10, and day 10 brings together many different things in one place. So we're going to be accessing the big book. So this is also the episode I'm going to mention what's the answer to life, the universe and everything. Now usually the answer to that is 42, but in today's episode it's going to be 41, or fractals of that number, and that's what I'm going to just get on with right now. Yep, better get your pens and paper and calculators at the ready. I'm just going to white a board, back in a second. Right, hello again, here we go, zooming in, and I've got my black pen. Now, what I've put on the board so far is the cycle of what we're talking about today, which is a lot of the time has been written as usually it's rounded to 400. Some people say 405. However, it's definitely bigger than this, and it is a fractal. So we're talking about the combination of many cycles at the same time. Yes, we are. Now, if you remember from the beginning, just zoom back for a second. So, remember this from the beginning. I was talking about the 5 interglacials. Now, this is the trick. If you'd like to study this information with me, you need to find this image on the internet. And when you print it out, you need to make sure that your ruler under here, yeah, where it says 400 to 0, yeah, that segment here, 400 to 0, has to match on the ruler with 18 centimeters. Precisely. Okay? That's the only way that this is figured out. That's how I figured this out. Because if you take the midpoint of this first interglacial and this 500,000 year cycle, which is actually a 410 year cycle, and then you take the midpoint of our current interglacial, yeah, you get around about 18 point maybe 25 or 18.33, but you don't get 18. So it's definitely a 410 year cycle and not 400 or 405, and therefore, as you can see on the board, it is 80 long counts, because in episode 8, which is this is 10 times that, so instead of 41,000 we're dealing with 410,000 years. Okay, and that's where the information comes from. So you need to print this out so that this matches up. The whole thing is 500,000, yeah, but what I'm measuring is the recurrence of cycles, and according to the measurements of the Earth and what our ancestors have measured, 80 long counts is what works mathematically. So I'm just going to prove that now. Now, X doesn't always mark the spot, but sometimes it does. Because 80 long counts equals 410,000. And 410,000 is 10 times. If you look at episode 8, Justice, times 10 is 80. Which is how many long counts this period lasts. So 80 long counts is divisible 4 ways. And these 4 ways relate to geological cycles that our ancestors are aware about. And I've already covered those in episodes 4, 5 and 8. Here we also find the fundamental note, which is the roughly 100,000 year cycle. Now, this all adds up. What does it add up to? Right. Okay. Zooming back out again. So this is it on a linear timetable. Now, I'm an artist as well as a mathematician, so what I did was I turned it into this. Can you see this? So that is a mandala, one of the versions which I worked on. I'd say this is the 3rd maybe version. I have other versions here where I'm trying to figure things out using like on the board 78 long count or 400,000 years, 79 long count or 405,000 years. But it wasn't until I got to 410, which matches up with the actual measuring it with a ruler yourself, that this one turned up. And as you can see, there's most certainly 4 cycles. Now, a couple of these cycles had slightly warmer periods crop up again after the main warm period. But generally speaking, you can see the 4-fold nature working itself out. And this is cycles of interglacials and glacials. We're essentially right here. We're right here. We're just past the tip. Because the tip was the Holocene maximum, which we've already been through, and that was roughly 3114 BC. If you look at the graphic on episode 5, that's the middle finger of the 5. So we're past that now, because we reached 2012, which is the next finger, which means to say we've got another long count of essentially cooling. That's what's nature's plan is, and nature rules. Yeah, nature rules. Yeah. Human beings are a biome. They're a coastal biome, and 2/3 of the population live on the coasts. So we need to do the maths again, eh? If you look at this one gives you the different codes here. So we've got up here, we've got cycles in relation to a nearby star. Now I'll just put that on there as an extra one. Here you've got 8 times long count, axial tilt, 5 times long count, precession, 4 times the egg-shaped orbit rotation. So that's episode 4, 5 and 8. Polar reversals, that's something that comes up later. Here's 1 long count. So that's 1 long count there. And that's the metric which measures all of them. And finally at the bottom here, half to scale, because it's 20 times, so it should be off the page, is the shape of the orbit, whether it's more circular or more egg-shaped. And let's see. Yep. You know, if you're wondering just how complex this gets, here's all the cycles I'm keeping track of here. I'll just zoom in there, see if you can see all these. These ones down at the bottom are much shorter. and as you go up you can find the 372, 391 in the middle, and as we go higher and higher the numbers get bigger and bigger. So that's my macrocosmic and microcosmic cycles graphic. It's a wee present to you for making it this far in the videos. Well done. So maybe you've noticed a wee pattern. I'm not entirely sure whether you'll notice it, but here's those things written out again. And funnily enough, you've got the axle tilt, you've got the ages of the zodiac, you've got the rotation of the egg-shaped orbit, and you have how circular or egg-shaped, yeah, ought. Yes. What does that spell out? Is it maybe the words written on the Wheel of Fortune that this card's about? I have signed this here on 13 How 7 Worldbridger. Okay, so what does it spell out? Let's have a look. So it actually spells out tarot, and really this is the Wheel of 4 Tones. That's really what it is. So you have the 4, you have the 5, got an 8, and you got a 20. Okay, so that all fits together. That creates this. This is in its organic form. Please don't mistake this for a clock. Yeah, I'm not talking about clock time. I'm talking about organic, geometric alchemy. Geometric and organic. GNO. Gnosis. Yes? Revealed. Before your very eyes, revealed. Where's everybody else's maths? I've looked through different people's calculations. Don't see anybody talking about it like this. So, whoever's watching this, you're the first to hear about it. Ra's done his maths again, and I wouldn't be standing here if I hadn't decided to do another book on cosmic cycles. But I have laid some very strong foundations in my first book and on my website. Because if you look at the 372, 391, what's that? What's in the middle of this X marks the spot? So that's the cycle nobody else is talking about. I'm the only one that has that on the internet. 372, 391. I'll be covering that specifically in a later episode. And that's when the one, the only, ice core wizard shall be finally making his first appearance. So that's an episode to look out for. Yep. Ding, 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 ding. Behold, a double dorje. It's a gift. It was a gift to me many years ago. Thought I'd bring it out for today since X marks the spot. Yes, it does. X marks the spot. So we have a special guest today. We do. And he sits on top of this. And here he is. Who's that? Wow. Who's that? Yeah. That's Ra's skull. This is just protection, you know. Protection from those who would take a piece of me and not return it. They're funny humans in this world. So, skull and bones, eh? Yeah, skull and bones is nothing. What really makes this world is brains and muscles. Yeah. The opposite of skull and bones. So, hello. Ooh. Who are you? Interesting. I always wanted to be famous. Yes, I did. I've been watching Ra do his calculations for years. I have. It's very precise. I would say look into my eye, but don't have any eyes, so look into my eyeball sockets. Ooh. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mr. Skull wanted to come out because there's a world bridge today. Just connected with the crystal skulls. And what other crystal skulls have to say. If there are any other crystal skulls out there, I'd like to say hello. Well, nice to meet you. Please pay attention to these numbers. I'm very impressed with these numbers. So, yeah. That's all I've got to say. Wow, bit of Ra's skull talking. That's interesting. Right. Well, I think it's time for a bit of projector, so you can see a bit more of my sketchings and scribblings and other graphics to help explain what I'm talking about here. So this is the final graphics for today, just in case missed those. This is today's symbol, number 10. So that's today's symbol. See you in a few minutes, just going to turn the projector on. And we're back. Here we are. So what are we looking at here then? What's all this? It says at the top, the invisible sun god. Please note that 2012 in the traditional Mayan was 4 Ahau, so 4 sun, and what I just revealed on the board was 4 cycles that relate to the Earth's orbit in relation to the sun. And what we're talking about here is music theory. You have the 4th and the 5th and the 8th, yes? Harmonics. Yeah, you also have the fundamental note from which they all arise. And this fundamental note, in my maths, I'm starting to think this is the invisible god that people think comes in, comes into the solar system occasionally and disrupts the natural order of things. But really, no. These are natural cycles. This is the Earth's natural cycles. You can see them in the ice cores. They match up the long counts precisely, but not like a clock. No. Organic and geometric alchemy. Okay? So, 410-year cycle. Yep. Now, that's roughly 4 of the 100-year cycles. But they're not always 100 years. Because just like I explained in episode 3, the lunar cycles fluctuate in length. Time speeds up and slows down. Same way on the macrocosmic level. As above, so below. Yes? So these are metrics, which is to say, overall, over the 410-year cycle, there will be 4 of the 100-year cycles. Yes? There will be 16 of the cycles of the ages. There will be 20 of the cycles of the rotation of the ptah, the perihelion to aphelion. And there will also be, let's see, yes, of course, 10 of the cycles of the axial tilt. Now they all spell out tarot, okay? There's 4 of them. X marks the spot. And I've just noticed over here the Arcturians have left me another present, so I'm just going to get it. Hang on a second. What does this say here? You read that? Yeah, T-A-R-O-T. The axial tilt. Ages of the Zodiac. The rotation of ptah. The circularness or egg-shaped orbit, or the O. returning to the T. Because the shape of the T determines the orbit. You know, that's what I explained in episode 1. The arch druids and arch witches. By keeping track of the solstices, equinoxes, fire festivals, you can see what the shape of the orbit is, which is here. And as you can see, these blend into an Ankh, and underneath it says Ra. So this may well be the year 2018 in the Gregorian, but in the Holocene period, it's definitely past 10,000 in the Holocene period. So my name is Ra Cyrus, and these are the codes which have been revealed to me. Oh dear, I seem to have turned off the internet. That's because I always turn off the internet before I do my videos. That's why I re-established the fields. Because, well, solving the mystery of the stone. Why is there so much conjecture about these precise calculations? How is it that our ancestors knew about these things long before we did? I have further evidence. You know, I'm going to be presenting a lot more evidence in later episodes. Slowly building up. The fields are established though. Okay? Right. Well, I could show you all these different examples of all the mistakes I made to finally come to these conclusions. But I prefer to just enjoy this moment, to be perfectly honest. You know, I only painted this on this afternoon, when it all made sense to me. That's how on the edge with this information I am in my path at present with you. This is why I've been inspired to make these videos, because I keep on finding new pieces of the puzzle as I'm going. So these are live revelations revealed to me that I'm sharing with you. Okay? I don't know how more real it could get, really, to be perfectly honest. Again, please check the maths if you think I'm wrong. I've done the maths multiple times, and it only works once you realise it's a 410 year cycle. 410,000 year cycle. So is the answer to life, the universe, and everything 42? Or is it maybe 41? The 4 within 1. 4 within 1. Profound, really. Totally profound. Actually, yes, exactly. So I've turned the internet back on because, yeah, I don't think we've visited the Ankh, and this has revealed itself as the two segments of the Ankh. So where do you find the Ankh? Information on my website, and this image is very sacred to me, and I shared it online, and it had my internet address at the bottom, and it was shared thousands of times, but people actually removed my web address for some reason. So I'm not a traditional Tree of Life follower. This is the Tree of Life as I understand it, in relation to the planets, in relation to the Earth, as a grounding Ankh, grounding the frequencies on the Earth. But nature rules, yes? So who actually sits on the throne is the planet we're actually living on. Okay, so where do we find the Ankh? Fractal contents, down, and to the right, Infinity Archive, click on the Earth, and down here you will find this. And this will explain all of that in great detail. And notice that most of the other traditions put Saturn in outside of this central 7. Okay, so here you've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the 7 days of the week, seed of life, 7 visible spheres, days of the week, fit inside the Tree of Life. Above them you've got Neptune and Uranus, which you can only see with a telescope beyond the veil of illusion, and it's being grounded here. Yeah? That's where the true power resides, is the planet we're living on. Nature rules. Always has, always will. Pretending that natural cycles don't actually matter is not very clever. What else did our ancestors know about? You'll have to wait for more episodes before I reveal more. But for today, hopefully I've left you with some things to contemplate and ponder on regarding the precision maths that I represent. And nobody is refuting my 20,000 years of data points. They do match up with the Greenland ice cores. And they cost 25 million. So perhaps the science of our ancestors is more valuable than what we thought. Maybe we shouldn't have burnt all those books. Maybe we shouldn't have burnt all the witches, blamed them for the fact that the crops weren't as abundant as usual. Could it be maybe that these native people and wise natural folk were actually trying to tell us what's actually going on, the cycles of nature? That this is the true reason for having a surplus. It's not for profit. It's because sometimes there won't be enough, and so you need to save for when there isn't. So our whole society is completely corrupt. Yeah, profit-driven society. Really? Really? That's what you think is the best version of society, is it? Do you have the maths to prove that? Really? I don't think you do. We live in a debt-based society. And we're just approaching another one of these points when the tables turn, the trends turn. And there's a lot of lies being spread. I'm not interested in lies. You better have evidence to back up your lies. Obviously you don't, because they're lies. So, please try and refute my dimensional science, which I represent, on behalf of my ancestors and the great masters whose shoulders I stand on. May peace prevail. Cyrus.org, infinitycodes.net. The truth will set us free. If it doesn't, it's not the truth. May the blessings of this great endeavour go to those who need them the most. For all the mothers, blessed be. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.